we knew immediately, right out the outset, even though we're supposedly a progressive beacon in the Midwest, this very affluent town. You can talk about labor, but you have to back it up. And we kind of knew going into it was like, I don't think there's gonna be a lot of backup on this talk about being pro-labor. We first have to organize internally, and we also have to get the community well informed about what's going on as well as we can without breaking any rules, because we don't have the leverage of binding arbitration. We can't strike. Those are two things that are not granted to us as our public union, so we have to find that leverage elsewhere. A big part of Ann Arbor is we're one of the highest taxed areas in Michigan. And so people are wondering, like, wait, why am I being taxed so high? And then our workers aren't getting, adequate raises, our roads aren't being well taken care of. They have a lot of valid questions about the money they're paying in every year and all these taxes, and they're not seeing an actualized return. And if you have a city where even your basic workforce can't live in the city, you don't have a living city. You have a theme park.
Welcome back, Solidarity Report listeners. My name is Joshua Town. I am a rank and file letter carrier paying dues at the National Association of Letter Carriers, Branch 55, Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And today we have a special guest coming from Fagoland, which is Michigan. And I have my buddy aboard with me, Matty B. Welcome aboard.
Thanks, Josh. My name is Matthew Bocage. I am also a rank and file letter carrier paying dues to the NALC out of Branch 12 in Worcester, Massachusetts. And before we continue, the Solidarity Report podcast and guests are speaking in a personal capacity, and their views are inherently their own and do not reflect any entity spoken about during this program. And now we have a very special guest today. I've been bugging Josh to get this gentleman on our program for the last 4 months because I'm a big fan of what he's doing in the labor movement. Please welcome David Kastner, the president of AFSCME Local 369, also known as AFSCME Dave. Welcome, Dave.
Gangsta, what's up, guys? It's me, Dave. Thanks for having me on the podcast. I'm a member of Ann Arbor's AFSCME Local 369. I started as a water treatment plant operator, and this winter, probably around March, April, I was elected to the union presidency role within the union as essentially like the chief negotiator, also on the bargaining team. It's been quite a journey to get where I'm at, to say the least. A quick journey.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you've slid into the president position in a very crucial time period right now, where you guys are in negotiations, and it seems like you guys are getting a little kneecapped by the city, is what it seems like.
Yeah, and we kind of knew from the outset, like, this was going to be a fight. Just looking at the data from previous contracts and kind of the climate around some of the other union talks too. And that was the way I decided we're going to approach negotiations, since I became more involved with our executive board and then the negotiations team. Like, we have to start looking back at all this data and build justification for all these asks and compare it to all these other market dynamics and stuff, and bring data-driven approaches and data-backed proposals to this, because we knew immediately, right out the outset, even though we're supposedly a progressive beacon in the Midwest, this very affluent town. You can talk about labor, but you have to back it up. And we kind of knew going into it was like, I don't think there's gonna be a lot of backup on this talk about being pro-labor. So we kind of had an idea that it was gonna be a pretty drawn out fight, which it did. It turned out to be true. Like, lo and behold, that's what's happening. So,
And you guys have been in talks since what, January 1st or so?
we actually sent out the message to open negotiations back in September, because our contract dictates that it can't start earlier than around 3 months from the expiration of the contract. So we sent out the notice in September, and then in October we had our first negotiation meeting with their team, and we worked all throughout the fall, and then we worked past the expiration date of January, and we've gone into May, and then I think it was May 28th, the city called for mediation on our contract talks. They felt they couldn't negotiate directly with us anymore. Apparently, we
Well,
were too mean or something. I don't know.
well, I mean, you are running a very aggressive campaign, and I think it's a good campaign because we are in the same kind of situation right now as letter carriers. We are in a mediation period. We started our contract talks in February, and our contract expired in May, and so we have a 60-day mediation period with the postal
Right?
service, and then it goes into I mean, it can go into binding arbitration. But looking back at it, our last contract, we went into an expedited arbitration situation because it lapsed. What was it, 700 days, Matt? We
I was
went
gonna say,
without
how
a
many
contract.
how many
Oh,
days did we work without a contract, Jeff?
I
yeah.
A
want to
little
say it
bit,
was
You,
seven.
a little
I remember
bit.
you mentioning that.
It's
And
at
I
least a
was
couple of weeks.
blown away. 2 years? Like,
Was
Yeah,
it?
that's a
It seemed
long
like a
time.
couple weeks. Yeah.
It
if
really went by. Just, you know,
yeah,
it's super
well,
like a slow death crawl for
Well,
two
the thing is,
years.
though, if you go back once again, you talk about the history and you look at the history of our contracts. Now, I only know so much. I mean, I started in 2014 as a 23-year-old kid, so every time the contract expired, it felt like it was 300, 400 days,
Right.
300, 400 days, and Matt was newer to the game. When did you come in? 2020.
Yep. Yep.
So
I'm fine.
I watched Matt come up through the ranks a little bit before I transferred and came down to Woonsocket. Um,
Right.
and I would tell him, I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. It goes long, blah, blah. And he'd be like, I don't know, something doesn't feel right about this. Now I think this was like his first contract he really went through, and being just a rank and file and waiting for word, and anxiety just builds because there really wasn't any transparency of what was going on. So
Ah,
that's one of the
Well,
approaches that I appreciate that you're doing, is the super transparency. It's got to put your rank and file, or your membership at ease, knowing that you're so forward with what's going on.
right. And that was something kind of why I got involved in the union to begin with, more like on the executive board side and whatnot. And especially like, right ahead negotiations, is we kind of had a void in that area within our union, within like internal communications. Even a lot of people were always like, we don't know what's going on. We're in the dark. We're not getting communication back from like the executive board. What's going on? It was a huge void, and it kind of created like a lot of distrust because it was something that had happened over a lot of years. And going into negotiations, like, well, we can't have that. We have to be a lot more unified going into these negotiations. I have to shore up, the solidarity among all of our members. That way, we go in with a unified voice, and we go in with these demands, and we get people all on board with what we're aiming for. And that was part of my goal from the outset of this whole Ask Me Dave thing, was outreaching to our community, or within our own members, and eventually branching out into the community. Um, because we first have to organize internally, and we also have to get the community uh, well informed about what's going on as well as we can without breaking any rules, because we don't have the leverage of binding arbitration. We can't strike. Those are two things that are not granted to us as our public union, so we have to find that leverage elsewhere. And we've been utilizing the hell out of it, just to make sure
yes, we
everyone's
have.
well informed and transparent about everything. Because if we don't have that, we don't have anything. And then
And
where our negotiations would go the way they had always been, where it's, they gave us an offer, and we're like, well, I guess that's the best we'll get. It's not like we can't have that. We have too many members that are very upset with how things have been, the status quo of negotiations in the past. They desperately want to change, and I thought, well, this is how we do it. We shore up internally, and then we also bring that fight out into the public and making them well aware of everything going on as much as we can, without running afoul of any rules. And that is, I think, the key to negotiations, like in our situation where we don't have those levers of binding arbitration or the ability to strike. We have to do something else, and luckily social media is a great avenue for that.
And speaking about social media, a meme that came up today from SEIU
Oh man, their memes are
925.
fire.
Oh my god. So I saw this and I'm like, thank God we are talking to Ask Me Dave. Can you throw up that meme and take
Yeah,
that take down the
let me pull our little logo down.
Yeah. Oh man.
That's so funny.
And this is what Ask Me Dave did.
Oh, I
That's you
can't see the
right there.
top part. It says
So
recording in the way.
it says me pulling up to management's meeting with a bunch of members they did not expect to see. And I feel like all the council meetings that you go to, it's just a sea of
Oh,
green shirts. You know
and
what
like
I'm saying?
we don't give them notice of that stuff because we don't want them to uh, try to talk our members out of doing that stuff, or anything like that, or try to say, hey, hold on, we can talk about this, we can talk about this another time. We don't want to be deterred, right? We're initiated, we're in this now, like, and so that is exactly. And I remember some of our members were like in the elevator with one or two of the council members, and they said like the like the council people refused to even like look in the direction. They just kind of eyes straight ahead and they like walked out. It's like yeah, I
Well,
mean.
well, that's it. You're putting the ball in their court. You're doing the intimidation factor of not intimidating them, but saying, "Hey, man, this is important to us.
Well,
Yeah,
Our
you
wages
say
and working conditions are important. Like that's what this is."
absolutely.
right. Well,
And a lot of the public don't know this kind of stuff on their day to day. People are just struggling to get through their daily lives, the grind. Some of us want to get home like, man, my day sucks. I can't wait to get home and not think about work or big issues that affect me. I'd rather be numb to everything. And so when you bring this stuff to people's attention, sometimes they're like, wow, that is kind of messed up. So people then are more grateful, like, wow, I didn't know that was going on. Um, a big part of Ann Arbor is we're one of the highest taxed areas in Michigan. And so people are wondering, like, wait, why am I being taxed so high? And then our workers aren't getting, adequate raises, our roads aren't being well taken care of. They have a lot of valid questions about the money they're paying in every year and all these taxes, and they're not seeing an actualized like return on that money they're paying in. And they find out, holy cow, these guys have been going out with raise like a cost of living adjustment for almost 2 years or over 2 years now. Like that's not okay. So that's a big part of dragging that all out there. And unfortunately, what's nice is the city council meetings are a great avenue to do that because one, they're streamed publicly, they're covered by a lot of local news, and the people on that city council committee are on the labor and budget committee who are in control of that budget that ultimately guides their negotiations with us. So it's like you're getting three birds stoned at once, right?
Yeah.
and they have to answer. They have to answer
Yeah,
for it.
right.
And like for the viewers and for the listeners, I'm going to pull up some of these clips just so people know what we're talking about. We're talking about your transparency and how you're making yourself known, putting yourself out there, plainly stated goals, relatable family man. You're doing it for the right reasons, and you're bringing everyone along with you. So let's take a couple. Let's take a look at a couple of clips here.
And whether you're a technician, an administrative assistant, or a mechanic, or an occupancy specialist, we all hear the same thing when we sit down at the bargaining table. There's just no money in the budget. But today, I'm going to show you how to look past the budget and find the truth. Management loves to use thick, boring documents to justify a lean contract. But if you know where to look, those same documents can be your best weapon.
Now, could you go into that a little bit? Like what what are the numbers that you're looking at that you can use against them?
So yeah, so like some of the big numbers I identified in that report was like the net position change of the city. In the private sector, a positive net position change is also known as profit. So the city is taking in millions more in property tax revenue, and so much, and I guess the funds from water and wastewater and stormwater rates, increasing those rates, just that alone, just rate changes in water and wastewater was like $53 million in 1 year, just in rate changes. And then we look also at things like the unallocated fund balance in the general fund. This is just money that's just in the general fund, just cash in the general fund that hasn't been allocated for anything yet. That changed I think 20-some% in 1 year, just extra cash in the general fund that's unassigned. There, even things like their investment returns. You can see they budgeted for maybe $1 million. Well, they actually made $4 million on investments in 1 year. And then, I mean, you look at their total net position change of $130 million in 1 year. And so that's more money that they brought in than last year. But one of the big identifiers for me was what they called vacancy savings. It was $10 million in 1 year. And what those vacancy savings indicate, you have that much, $10 million is a lot of positions in municipal work. That's positions that the city was unable to fill because either they chose they didn't want to either save the money for other things they could shift around, or our pay is so low that people are not willing to come on board with us and be employed by the city because our wages are not competitive enough, which is the case a lot of the time. So we look at all the money the city is saving or gaining in net surpluses on stuff, and we can build this picture, be like, it's not an issue of ability to pay. It's an issue of your willingness to prioritize us in the budget. So the money is there, but the willingness to give to your working class people, it's not. And that's what we find in looking at those numbers.
And what I really love what you've done is you're not just applying that to your union members, you're also applying that to other public service members, like teachers. Like I would love to play this clip right here where you showed up for the teachers.
And this is what I'm talking about. Solidarity.
My name is David Kastner, and I serve as the president of AFSCME Local 369. Many people know me as AFSCME Dave. I am a City of Ann Arbor employee, a resident of the Ann Arbor Public School District, and a parent of a young child who will soon be entering school. You can hear my
Yes.
I'm here tonight in support of the educators and the staff who make Ann Arbor Public Schools one of the most respected districts in Michigan. Like many parents, I've been deeply concerned by reports of budget challenges, administrative decisions, and important educational programs being reduced or eliminated. My greatest concern tonight is the message being sent to the people who actually deliver education every day. When employees endure 9 separate wage freezes or cuts over 16 years, the consequences extend far beyond the next budget cycle. The effects ripple for years. A comparison with your own peer district shows that a teacher with a master's degree stands to earn approximately $289,000 less over a career here in Ann Arbor. That is not just a statistic. It's a powerful incentive for talented educators to build their careers elsewhere.
And that goes back to what you were saying about retention. Like,
right. We're
A
finding
fair
that
contract is
that's
not
playing
just
out throughout
about
the city
wages.
now.
Yeah.
Part of the problem is the wages ranges where people can be put into are so low. The ceiling is so low for our ranges. We don't have places for upward mobility for other people to be reclassified and move up. You can't retain specialized fields and stuff like that. The idea of contracting that kind of stuff out, it's even more expensive than keeping it in the city. We can't retain good skilled trades, and we can't bring them in anymore. It's a compounding problem that they're refusing to address. And the city has the same problem, or I should say Ann Arbor schools have the same problem with their workforce. They can't bring in new teachers when your surrounding districts are paying like 20, 30,000 more with lifetime teachers than Ann Arbor does. It's an insane problem that could be easily fixed with just proper budgeting and not just focusing on a lot of these other these other I would call pet projects of politicians and whatnot. Uh,
Well,
sorry,
I mean,
I'll,
we no, no, no.
No.
I agree. Well, we have the same sort of issue here where they come in and they, when I started, I remember when I came in, there was a huge arbitration decision, which took a career. You would start off as a PTF, which was a part time flexible, which was a career position. If you
right,
got X amount of hours, it would accrue as career. Now you come in and you're what they call a CCA, a city carrier assistant, which is a non-career position. So you're not
huh,
putting into your pension, you're not putting
right,
into your TSP, which is a 401k. You're not putting into all these things off the start where other people, the people before us did. And
right.
then on top of it, I didn't know until one of our coworkers said something to me. And when I first started, he goes, "Oh, this guy doesn't even realize he just took a $5 pay cut because that contract they started a second table that started at that point
Oh,
$5 less, and then on
yep.
top of it, it got prorated colas."
Oh
So
no.
everyone on table one got 100% of the cola. So if you got a 30 cent an hour cola, everyone got it. Where like say table two, which I was, you got 30 cent cola, and that would be say 50. It's actually 60%, but for what it's worth. So it's like 68%. You're still getting a little over 15 cents an hour
Right,
instead of the full 30. And those are the people that need it, are the people at the bottom
right,
that aren't worked that haven't worked their way up to the top range.
right.
So
Absolutely. Yeah,
you guys are experiencing in different ways, but the same thing where they're
yeah.
not
So
upping the pay for starting and
right,
creating that
we're
upward trajectory. Yeah.
yeah, we're experiencing a lot of wage compression. Um, we don't have a lot of places for upward mobility for people to get reclassified uh, to make up for uh, positions that aren't have fallen out of the market for their pay rate. And that means the bottom wages then, since there's no upward mobility for these other places to go, the bottom ranges are squeezing right in the middle, and we don't have any mobility. So a lot of what we're completely reliant on uh, cola to make some of these, and then we have to try to bargain other things in, like things like that could help with that. Ideas like step increases, or you just have to add more pay ranges so you don't have that compression. And that way, your more specialized fields can have some place to go. And that way, we can bring in more skilled trades that have fallen out of the market. Because if we have positions that are paying $10, $15 less than market, if say like an electrician that could go private, he's going to make a lot more money than what the city's offering. We have to be able to create classifications that pay a lot more for these kind of positions to go into, so we can attract talent into the city. And if you're not going to do that, then you're going to be relying on contracting out, and it's going to cost way more. Like it's going to cost way more over the long run than even just the legacy costs of having a full time employee with all those benefits. And there's arguments made. Well, the economy relies on contracting too. But yeah, but we should have this stuff in house available at all times. We shouldn't be reliant on contracting. Like this is union work. It's always been union work. We should never transition that to being privatized, because then it just opens the door to everything being done. And like we had to pump the brakes on that before already, and we can't let it go that way. Um, Wage compression is very much the start of that kind of talk of, oh, maybe we should start contracting these jobs out because we don't have anywhere for these people to go.
But when you yeah.
Let me take 1 minute.
Going
Oh, go
back to
ahead.
that, I mean, and that's the same thing that you look at that's going here is they're going to contract out what they can try to contract out. And there's a big looming fear of privatization right now. I mean, if you just listened the other day to Steiner, Postmaster General at
Oh yeah.
Congress, and they're talking about, oh, if you cut a couple days of delivery and blah 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 blah, or people
Yeah.
might pay for. Like, no, we're not a subscription service. We are in the Constitution. This is what we do.
Yes.
We are the fabric. We bring everyone together. That
Yep.
is the point of the United States Postal Service,
Right.
and
And
it's
we're not
Oh,
frustrating.
look,
saying
you
we're
guys
facing
lose
this.
money.
Yeah. Do we say that the
Uh,
military loses money? Do
yeah.
we?
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
know about that.
This
You know,
like
but
$1 trillion black hole in the Pentagon, something. I don't know.
yeah, friggin' post office. But but you faced some privatization issues too. I would like to pull up a quick
Oh yeah.
little video here.
Idea. Local first. We support our local shops, our local workers, and our local accountability. We aren't a town that readily rolls out the red carpet for out of state corporate giants. For the last few weeks, I've been showing you how the DDA was moving toward building a shadow department, a plan that would have locked the public union out of downtown for the next 30 years and handed the keys to a private corporation from Tennessee. But today I have an update that proves the local first spirit is still very much alive. Because you spoke up, because you shared the data, and because you demanded better for our neighbors, we have officially secured a seat at the table. The DDA has begun working directly with the AFSCME union on a resolution to provide a fair path forward for a union-led public service downtown maintenance team. Where we were once being bypassed, we are now being heard. We are finally in the room where the decisions are made, negotiating a future that keeps Ann Arbor jobs in Ann Arbor hands. We got here because we refused to accept the management math, and we pulled back the curtain on the actual opponent we're facing, a $52 million, 30-year uncancelable subscription to a corporation called Block by Block. We made it clear that their goal isn't the gold standard for Ann Arbor. Their goal is profit for their shareholders. We highlighted the mission creep, the fact that the DDA was drifting away from infrastructure to play CEO of a private public works department. We showed them that the maintenance debt is real. Over the last few years, the city has installed massive amounts of new infrastructure, such as bike lanes and pedestrian islands, and while they make for safer traffic, the studies used to justify them never factored in the labor to maintain them. You can't run a standard plow through a protected lane, and you can't standard sweep a bump out. Management built a 2026 city on a 1995 maintenance plan and budget. We proved that instead of paying a corporate premium to bail them out of that planning error, they should be investing in the permanent unionized staff who actually own the street. Our seat at the table is about more than just wages, it's about service. We want to prevent the logistical nightmares that would arise in the miscoordinations between private contractors and our public workers. We don't want residents to be victims of a system where a digital ticket gets bounced back and forth between a private company and the city while the hazard stays on the sidewalk. We want a unified team with local accountability. Now, I want to be clear, we are still in the early stages of this planning, and while getting into the room was a massive victory, the heavy lifting of the negotiations is just beginning. We are working to ensure there is a concrete plan to transition downtown maintenance into a professional, local, unionized operation that doesn't rely on corporate middlemen. I'm asking for your continued support. The DDA needs to know that Ann Arbor is still watching. We need to keep the momentum high to ensure the final resolution hits the gold standard we've earned. Finally, I want to say a sincere thank you to everyone, the union members, the local businesses, and the residents who raised concerns about the privatization of our downtown. Your support for local workers is the reason we have this seat today. Ann Arbor shouldn't be for sale to the highest corporate bidder. We need local accountability, not corporate contracts. Be sure to like this video and follow me for more. And I'm Dave. Let's keep Ann Arbor local, keep the work public, and keep working together for the future of our downtown.
Now, before we comment on that, what is your YouTube so people can subscribe to that?
It's Hogue. Is it?
I've got
Hogue
we got a little ESPN Sports Center ticker going on at the
you can
bottom
just
here.
find me on most socials. Just searching AFSCME Dave. I'll pop right up. I'm like the only guy out there with anything similar to that name, so it pops. Any social you can find me, just even a straight Google search, you'll find me there. Get linked tree or anything like that.
Now that that whole situation. So, you said that people, rallied to your support. Now, did you have community events to raise awareness of what was going on, or just town hall meetings, that kind of thing?
It's mostly feedback going to city council from our members and from the community, and people discussing that in like city council meetings and stuff. So that was why I created the video series, because there was gonna be like no outreach about that. There's gonna be like no coverage of the whole thing whatsoever, and we only got rid of it because it became a plan like a year and a half before that there was a possibility they were going to be creating this team, and one of our kind of old dogs in the union, he's been around for a long time. He's like, hey, look at this! I keep up on the news all the time. You see this? And I was like, oh, that's kind of that's a big deal, man. You're right. And then I kind of sat on it for a while, just watched it develop, and then they came out that they're going to be doing this privatization push. I was like, oh, pump the brakes. We got to look into this, and essentially what came of it was they were going to recommend doing this 30-year tip for a maintenance team to do work downtown that a lot of our people already do in the downtown area. But the DDA is kind of a separate carve out for a lot of their range and their, I guess, whatever their distribution area is down there, or I can't, their boundaries for the Downtown Development Authority. And anytime there's work that's to be done down there, it has to be, logged differently because their money is different than the city's money. It's a whole logistical mess of how all that stuff is funded down there. But the idea of them trying to kind of sneak in a private contractor for up to 30 years was kind of alarming, and there was going to be no recourse on it whatsoever had we not pressed the issue and reached out to city council. I reached out to city council directly, emailed all of them, and then brought up with the union like, hey, we gotta get a seat at the table just to at least have a discussion about this. And from that point, it became they were willing to discuss the details of this because we brought it up. Had we not brought it up, that likely would have been a private contract for this downtown crew that would have started this year, probably around March or April. They were gonna push it immediately ahead of like all the festival seasons, and we were able to get.
Oh, we're losing Dave.
Yeah.
It looks like you got some Florida internet going on there. What's
no.
Yeah.
Oh, what's going on?
Oh no, you're good. You're great.
Michigan
You're great
fiber.
now. you're great now. You're great now. I thought you were progressive.
They got that sounds like private. That sounds like some private internet you got going on there. Not no Union Strong.
Oh, that's that Joe Biden internet, rural broadband initiative, baby. Grandpa Joe pulled through for me.
But this is what like you've done so well, and what you've done so well with your union. It's like, what does Murphy like to? He calls it the bullseye, right? So
yeah.
Let's say you've got a target in the middle of the target. You've got the bullseye, like which is the most active members of your union. your officers, your people in various roles. The ring outside, the bullseye, is made up of like the people that they show up to the meetings. Maybe they get a little involved outside of that, and then you have the outer ring, which is people that don't really do anything. So like you've really used social media to level people up to that next sort of ring, right? It seems like, yeah, because big time. You described how it was before, and now you've pulled your union out of the Stone Ages, and now you're a force to be reckoned with. It's like because you're pulling up on City Hall. Like we had that train. We had Thomas the Train. Like we have more videos. I gotta put this up because this is great too. This is fantastic. 1 second.
As the new president of AFSCME Local 369, to deliver a reality check to Ann Arbor's leadership. We are constantly told that this city is a beacon of progressive values, but right now, well, I have my doubts. I told them that a city budget is a moral document and that it's time for their math to match their morals. Take a look at what happened.
Our next speaker is David Kastner.
Oh, terrified, y'all.
I bet.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is David Kastner, also known as AFSCME Dave. I am the current president of AFSCME Local 369. Ann Arbor prides itself on being a beacon of progress, but what do those values mean if they don't extend to the people keeping this city running? The disparity is staggering. One city administrator makes over 300% more than the median AFSCME employee, and he also received 20% in raises and nearly $20,000 in bonuses in under 2 years. It is a bitter irony that in a city that prides itself on progressive values, the administration seems to have adopted a strategy of trickle-down wage economics. Our frontline workers, people plowing streets, processing million pages of paperwork, and ensuring our drinking water is safe, are struggling. It's been 29 months since our last raise, and our contract raises haven't even kept up with inflation over the last 25 years. We continually fall behind. When workers ask to close this gap, we're expected to prioritize our financial asks. But the public ledger shows $53 million in enterprise fund growth, the retiree healthcare trust fund funded at over 95%, millions in unspent vacancy savings, and overall an incredibly strong financial standing. Why then do we have to prioritize instead of you?
I think that's crazy. Good for
Round of
you for being
applause.
able to, stand up and speak up for your members, and then to do it in such a public forum is is huge. That's
It's brave.
definitely. I would have been tight, real tight going up into that situation.
Well, hold on. Robert.
Yeah. Give him applause. Give him applause. But to sit there and look at it and pretty much say, yeah, we're supposed to be this progressive town, city, and we're running on like Reaganomics over here, trickle down. It's
and
Right.
and not only that, in the midst of all this, you had the recognition week, right? Public service recognition week. So look at this, everyone.
Dave here. It's Public Service Recognition Week in Ann Arbor. When you turn on your tap for a glass of water, when you drive on a swept street, when you solve a problem with the city's clerk staff, or when you see our parks being prepped for the summer, that's the work of AFSCME Local 369. We don't just work for the city. We are the city. We're your neighbors, your mechanics, your plant operators, your city customer service team, and your technicians. Public service isn't always a 9-to-5 desk job. It's a 2 a.m. water main break in the freezing rain. It's ensuring the city has safe water. It's keeping the city's fleet on the road so emergency services can respond. We provide a gold standard of service 365 days a year, often behind the scenes where you never see us. But this week, appreciation needs to be more than just a social media post or a thank you in a newsletter. The reality is that the members of AFSCME Local 369 haven't seen a raise since January 1st of 2024. We've been working without a contract since January 1st of this year. And while the cost of living in Ann Arbor keeps climbing, The workers who keep this city running have remained stuck with eroded buying power. Working without a contract for months isn't just a union issue, it's a citywide stability issue. We love serving this community, but we need a contract that reflects the value of that service. As we celebrate Public Service Recognition Week, I'm asking for your support. Tell our city leaders that thank you is a start, but a fair contract is what we've earned. We're at the table, we're ready to work, and we're ready to keep Ann Arbor running. Let's make sure public service is actually valued in the budget and not just the press releases. I'm AFSCME Dave. Stay informed, stay united, and let's support local workers.
Very well put.
Yeah, Ask Me International loved that one. It's like a lot of free outreach. It was so funny too. The city administrator and the mayor, people were going up in these city council meetings and speaking to on all these issues. And you could say it's might be now taking kind of an adversarial approach to us. They put out a video similar to that via the Ann Arbor television station, and a lot of platitudes about, hey, we have world class workers, and at that same meeting we're talking about, hey, you should maybe pay us more. And then they end the meeting with like a fist bump. I'm like, come on, like, come on, guys, let's
Well,
focus on it. It's nice that you're giving us platitudes, but those don't pay the bills. Like a nice wage increase is what would do that.
well, it's like when something crazy goes on, and everyone does, oh, the thoughts and prayers. It's
Yeah,
like, no, let's have policy changes to prevent this type of thing from ever happening again. You know what
right,
I'm saying? It's the same thing with the wages. Well, yeah, you can give me a thank you, but I can't send that thank you for Verizon to pay my telephone bill. It's
right.
like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm gonna tell that power company. Oh, guess what? The mayor said thanks. So I don't know how you guys are gonna catch that, but that's up to you.
He's like, yeah, sign the back of this thank you card. Here you go.
This is
Make sure you
legal
put
tender.
yeah. Make sure you put a stamp on that. It might get returned to sender without that though. You got to put a stamp
Right.
on that.
It's like we
Uh,
appreciate the thanks, but we also appreciate getting paid a little bit more. Like
well, that's it. That's one of the big things that I feel there's a big misconception with management and sometimes and upper management is that it's like, oh yeah, the whole we're a family, we all need each other. It's like, yeah, I need to feed my family, so
yeah,
please can you throw some money my
absolutely.
way?
Right. Childcare costs haven't gotten like any cheaper either. Cost of living in Ann Arbor is insane. Just housing and childcare alone, like none of our members can afford to really live in Ann Arbor. I think there's maybe out of 300 of our members, maybe you can count on two hands the number that can afford to live in Ann Arbor anymore. The rest commute now like upwards of an hour. Like our own members have been priced out of their the community served.
And
It's just insane, especially in a
they
city with
are
as
the
much money
community.
they have. Yeah, they are the
Right.
community, and we love serving that community. But now we can't afford to live in the community. Like
And
just
they have the
and someone
money.
put it.
That's
They have the. That's the problem. They have the money to do it. And someone put it very succinctly a while back. They're talking about how a lot of the service workers in Ann Arbor, even like non your people working in the restaurants, your people just doing kind of the daily grind jobs downtown, right? Your regular service workers, they can't afford to live in Ann Arbor either anymore. And if you have a city where even your basic workforce can't live in the city, you don't have like a living city. You have a theme park. People are only visiting, like right. You're just there catering to the people that can, I guess, the upper echelons who can now only occupy every space there. It's just a theme park. It's not an actual like living space. There's no diversity among any of your working class or your class of people.
Well,
It's become gentrified in that way very much, and it's a problem that I think that isn't being seriously addressed. Um, not
in any meaningful way.
And you're talking about commute times. Are you talking about an hour one way or an hour both, like an hour
An
both
hour
ways?
one way. Yeah. There's
So
some people
there
that
you got
live
to
like
think. So what is your average shift? Is it like an
um
8-hour shift?
it varies upon at each department. Some guys work 8, some guys work 10, some guys work 12. But a lot of those guys that are coming from far away, some of them are also like on a snowplow duty area call for emergencies, where they're on
Oh God.
mandated 12s for like snow emergencies and stuff. They'll change their shifts and declare emergencies. They're up, plowing snow routes, 2 different shifts, daytime 12s, nighttime 12s. They can get held over on other emergencies and stuff. Water main breaks. There's a lot of cross people in some of our departments where they'll be responsible for a lot of those same duties. And so they're busting their butt, and they'll get what they call like a call out overtime. But a lot of people are kind of getting to the point where like it's not worth that little extra call out time to answer a call after hours. I have to drive an hour in, and then I'm only getting a little bit of extra time, especially when your gas is $4.50. There goes a lot of your cost immediately. When you're answering
Yep.
that call out, that's just getting eaten up to come in to do it.
Oh,
So
don't be
it's
getting me going on gas. Oh my
yeah,
God. We had close in your region. We had the United Steelworkers president on, and what's going on with BP and locking the oil refinery workers out
yeah,
in the scab work. That's and that's one of those things that's gonna kill gas prices in your region, you
right,
know, and we're all in this fight together. I think uh I was talking with Patrick Crowley, who is the AFL-CIO president of Rhode Island, and his big thing is, solidarity. And solidarity is understanding that your fight is my fight,
yes,
and that's pretty much what it is in that region right now. I mean, it's everyone's hurting,
right,
and whether it's by bad policy or bad policy makers and not taking care of their own and really just looking out for me and not we, that's a
right,
huge chunk of what I feel is that dispute.
yeah,
I mean,
and that's
Well, it's all
part
about
of
power.
right, and that was part of my goal in becoming president of this union was to reach out and create a lot more solidarity between the other local unions just within Ann Arbor, but also uh, the surrounding areas too. We got this labor federation, the Huron Valley Area Labor Federation, that represents like several hundred unions, and that's power there. Once you get organized with a group like that, and you're having your members interact, and you're organizing together on all this stuff, that's power. And when you're not engaging with those avenues like that, that only hurts you in the long run, right? Like, right now we didn't do that for several years, and we're having to rebuild a lot of those relationships. And we've been reaching out to the teachers union. We reached out to the other AFSCME unions within the county, the nurses union at the big University of Michigan hospital. Go blue! And in my view on that is a bigger block is always going to be harder to break. The more you guys or more all of our unions show up for each other, that's going to be a lot harder for the powers that be to bargain against us and try to break us or engage in other busing activities. You have to be able to organize. That is key nowadays, and there's a huge resurgence in that kind of activity. And I think a lot of it's coming from certain political groups coming up in these younger movements. They're wanting to get more involved in union activity. They're wanting to organize. I think a big push of it is the Democratic Socialists in the United States. Yeah, Moron Zoran Mondami, like in New York, pushing a lot of this stuff. And whatever your political affiliations, we obviously we've got a vast array of political affiliations even within our union. But I will say the those groups, they know how to organize. They know how to come up grassroots and organize within even unions. And just interacting with some of the politicians around town and stuff here, it's like they are on it. Like, and that's we as unions have to kind of capitalize on that momentum too, and get back into grassroots organizing within these smaller organizations, not only for the in our instance within the city unions, but like I said, within these broader regional unions too. And that only builds our strength for when times like this comes, when we have negotiations that stall, or say other unions need help. We're there. And I put that out on one of my videos. Hey, I'm letting you know, like, this is a call for all of you guys. If you need us, we're there. Um, you got our support, because at the end of the day, we're gonna need you at some point too. We need
Yes.
mutual aid on a lot of these things. That's the only way forward through some of these tough times. Otherwise, our members will suffer, and we won't get the meaningful changes we need. Um, Good case in point. Oh no, my computer just died. Geez, I lost my train of thought there now.
But that's okay. I mean,
But
I could pick up there too, because
yeah,
this all started from a lockout line in Providence, Rhode Island. This whole solidarity report started this whole project that became a a podcast,
right,
um really just it started from a lockout line, and that lockout line came together between letter carriers, DSA, and working
oh
with the
yeah,
delegates of SEIU,
yep,
and that's what started this whole thing. My brother Murph was like, you should do a report and do an interview. You could do it for the podcast or whatnot. So we're like, okay, you know what? Yeah, we'll help you out. And then people liked it, and we decided to reach out to other people and do different things. And then Matt hopped along, and we did the Starbucks thing. And
right,
it's all the little things that we can do for other communities, other people, and not just our own. I mean, if you got to be involved in the movement and realize, man, we need to get these stories out, because you never know when you're going to be in that same situation where you're just kind
sure,
of waiting. You guys have been waiting for half the year now for a
yeah,
contract.
right,
We've been waiting. We waited last time 700 days for contract,
right,
and this is starting to be a more regular occurrence of not getting good contracts for public sector. Also, you're
right,
seeing a lot of private sector unions either having to take strike votes, or they end up getting locked out by the company. And
Well,
it's
labor is
very,
under attack, Josh.
yeah,
That's union densities decreased. Labor is under attack. We mentioned BP locking out local 7-1
yeah,
in Indiana. Well, you know, they are trying to bust that union. That's
hmm
the goal. That like we didn't bring it up. We talked about before the show of the mailer. Like they're sending mailers to you, Dave, in the mail, trying to get you to but forego your union dues. Yeah, you don't need
yeah.
that union. You pocket that money. It's
You
fine.
don't need
You
that.
know the
They're just stealing it from you. What do you get from it? Keep putting that back in your pocket.
uh, and that's
it
but
ain't doing
but that's exactly it. You mean you have things like that are going on down in Florida, when Murph and I were talking to McKenna Schuler, and they're trying to either dissolve unions
Yep.
through that way, or they're trying to greatly weaken the power by limiting their resources and getting people to go, okay, yeah, I got the union has my back, but I don't have to pay dues. And it's like, there's no such thing as a free ride.
Right. Absolutely.
but
I think
it's all
that's
about power.
it's it, it's all about power. Uh, Unions stand in the way of being able management and like upper management and even municipalities from being able to just impose their will on the workers. We're our contract is what stands between them and just having complete free reign over the workforce. And we're just one thing they see as an obstacle for to get over, rather than something to a group to work with in good faith. Sometimes, um, broadly speaking, that is what outlook of labor has been for a while. And I think this resurgence in organizing is scary for a lot of these people that feel that way, these Freedom Foundation groups and stuff like that, right? They're trying as hard as they can to send out all these mailers, but man, there's some good organizing going on to counter that. There's lots of good messaging on social media, and you'll see and sometimes the bots are in the comments now too to push back on our organizing efforts. You have these accounts from who the hell knows where, saying, unions don't steal money, you bad. It's like, okay, whatever. Like,
well, and their bots. There was that day. It was earlier this year. There's that day where everyone's location got accidentally leaked on Twitter. So when you went on Twitter, and it was like, it was the super pro right wing American like Twitter page, right? And it's just like, this girl in a bikini wrapped in an American flag, and it's like, oh, that's based in India. Oh, that's based in Uzbekistan. It's like these are bots. They're not real people. Like
they're not real people.
Well, I think we're coming to a close here, and I just want to ask: is there anything that you want to plug, or what's your final thought on if you were to get a message out to the general public?
I guess the main issue I want to get out to the public is that a lot of these labor issues go unnoticed and uncovered in a lot of media, and even in a town where you have the claim of being a progressive beacon, labor still had a fight. We have a hard fight to win rights for and contract benefits and stuff for our workers. It's not always going to be an issue in some of these communities. The labor has turned into an issue. Organized labor organization. Organized labor has become an issue even in these what are considered left-leaning communities, because it seems the idea that wages and stuff like that trending low, or just oh, it's just the market trend, we should do that. How about we reverse those kinds of things and start going back the other direction and getting more wins for workers, rather than saying, well, that's what everyone else is doing, maybe status quo is to screw over unions. How about no? Maybe we push back on this idea, and we start getting our labor organizations to reorganize and push back on this idea that the market trend and the status quo of undercutting your workforce is not okay. Like, we need to start making sure the working class doesn't disappear, and that we do through union organizing and getting our messaging out there and pushing back at every opportunity to do that. We have to broaden our appeal to the public. We have to get our message out there to a wide audience to make sure that happens. And we can't be afraid sometimes to push the envelope on some of that messaging, because otherwise it might not get out there. People might not understand. People are sometimes too far removed from how these things play out. And we need to keep pushing as labor organizations to make sure we're engaging the public and bringing them into the union sphere and making them aware of every issue that affects working class people. And also,
Manny.
check me out on all my socials.
Oh yeah, man, you can't miss him. Oh my god, ask me, Dave. Is such a positive push forward image on social media, especially when you can see so many just anti-labor, anti-worker messaging so many places. It's crazy. Matt, what's your final thought on this?
So, like I was saying before, it all goes back to power, right? And so this is where we use what Dave's talking about, is social media. We can reach the audiences. We can reach everyone with our messaging. Okay. So with power, right? So we're talking about BP locking out USW Local 71. Their financial reports, $3.2 billion in profit for the first quarter, but they can't pay these people. They're trying to lock them out. They're paying the scabs double the salary and benefits. Wow. So they can, so they
funny clearly, how that works.
it's not about money. And as you've shown with the city's financial reports, they have the money. It's not about the money, it's about
Right.
power. So we need to show them our power, and we have greater power in solidarity. And that's why, that's the genesis of this program, reaching out to people like you, making
Yeah.
these connections. So when you need help, we'll be there for you and for each
I
other.
do want to add one little thing that I thought was funny today. We're talking about the cost of everything, related to a city's functioning and purchasing and stuff like that. And we're in a room today in mediation, and we're looking at these chairs we're all sitting in. I'm like, man, these are some nice chairs. And we priced them out, and it's 2/3 of my yearly wage just in chairs in this fucking room. Excuse me, just in this room, like nearly $50,000 in chairs in this room. And so then when it talks about being able to pay for stuff, I'm like, really, like, these chairs are almost the cost of my wage, my yearly salary. Come on, it's just
Yeah,
unreal
they must
sometimes,
be
the things
Tekka
that,
chairs.
yeah.
Well,
it's
I think that's it. You look at all the things that you just said too, between the chairs, between understanding the messaging, Matt talking about the power, that the
right,
power struggle between management and the people that create the wealth, which are the workers, the people that clean up our cities, which are the workers.
right,
And I think the big takeaway from this, and linking it back, to the Patrick Crowley episode, is that you have to understand that your fight is my fight, because we are all fighting the same thing to get better wages, working conditions. And the only way that we can do that is if we realize that together we are stronger.
right. Absolutely, that is a great, strong closing message.